Hey, Coach Wylie, how are you?
How are we doing today?
I'm good. Well, thank you so much for coming to my show. Means a lot for you to come out. And you ready to get started?
Yes, yes, I'm very anxious. But first, let me say this, Austin.
Hmm.
Congratulations
Thank,
on winning the state title. I
thank you.
thought that was really fantastic. The way you guys did it, you had to win the last two to get in, then you get in, and you win the first one, second one, and then you won the state championship,
Yeah,
finishing third. And quite the accomplishment,
thank you.
especially when you were picked to finish 41st.
Yeah, I know we were ranked really low at the start of the season.
It's like that horse that won the Kentucky Derby that was an 80-1 pick,
Yeah,
right? And he said, "The hell with you guys," right? And he went out and beat all the other horses. You
mhm,
guys did the same thing.
yeah, we were definitely the underdogs.
I was at the game. Oh, I was a fan.
Yep,
I was a fan that day.
for sure, for sure. All right, you ready?
Yes,
All right, so first off, can we start by how did you originally get into football and what was your playing career like for football?
I originally got into football. I was playing in a sandlot football game. Okay, in
Mhm.
a little town where I grew up in Rhode Island. It was a real sandlot, okay? And there was a bunch of guys playing football. I think we were in junior high school at the time. And one of the kids said, "Hey, you should come out for the junior high school team," because there was no little league. When I was growing up, there was no Pop Warner. There was none of the little league games. So they why don't you go come out for the team? So I said, okay. So that was my first experience. I went out for the junior high school football team. Okay. And
Yep.
then from the junior high school team, our junior highs were 7, 8, and 9. It wasn't like they are today. So the grammar schools were 1 through 6. Then you went to junior high school, 7 through 9. So I played 7, 8, and 9 in junior high school.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I went to the high school, okay, which was 10 through 12. All right. And I played at the high school level. Okay. And then after I got done playing high school, I went out and I played at Colorado,
Hmm.
okay, up in Boulder. And so I was there for 4 years. All right. And that was really the extent of my playing career. All right. And so that's how I originally got into football. And then when I graduated from school, okay, I got my teacher's degree and I was doing some student teaching and I was doing some substitute teaching at the old high school that I graduated from. And some of the people in town asked me to if I wanted to help out with the Pop Warner group. They were just starting this new Pop Warner league.
Yeah.
So I said, I can do that. And then the junior high school coach asked me, he said, "Hey, can you help us here in junior high?" So I said, yeah, I can do that. So I would coach junior high school football, right, after school. And then I go home and get a sandwich. And then I go down to the Pop Warner field and I coach Pop Warner football at night. Right. So that's how it really all got started. And that, you know, just because the passion I had for the game.
Yeah.
And then as I got into high school football coach, the coach me asked me if I wanted to coach at the high school level. So I
Mhm.
said, yeah, okay. So I started to coach at the high school level in the high school that I graduated from.
Uh-huh.
And I coached at that level. We won the state championship. We won the state championship when I was a player, and we won the state championship when I was a coach.
Mhm.
Right. Right. And then from there, my old high school, right, I went to another high school. Well, I went from like West Walk High School, North Kingston High School to Cranston East High School.
Mhm.
Okay. And then it was Sala County. Right. And then they wanted to move me into administration. And I was administrative director of the sports complex in the school department.
Mhm.
And I really didn't like the job because they spent all the money based on whether you were Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
And I hated that. They didn't spend it on whether you were in the, for the children, kids,
Yeah.
right? Right. So I had a buddy that coached at Harvard at the time. And he'd come around because there was no recruiting services. They
Yep.
had to turn over all the rocks, go to all the schools.
Yeah.
There was no video. There was only 16 millimeter film. So they
Mhm.
had to stay in the school and watch the film on the projector. The
Yeah.
coaches wouldn't let the film out of the building. There's only one copy, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I got friendly with the defensive coordinator at Harvard, a guy named Chet O'Neill, who's since passed away. God bless him. And he came in my office one day and he said, I said, I hate this job. He said, what's the matter? I said, I hate that I was throwing things around. Right. And he said, and I told him what the story was. He said, I got a buddy that coaches at Brown University. Right. He may be interested, right, in talking to you. I said, okay. So guys tell you that, and then you never hear from them again.
Yeah, for sure.
All of a sudden, in April of that year, okay, I get a call from the head coach at Brown University. And I come down for an interview. I said, yeah, okay. So I go down for an interview and he offers me a job at Brown University. But it was a part-time job. So I could still work in the school department and I could coach at Brown University.
Yeah.
And so I took it. Right. And then eventually I got hired full-time. Right. And then I went from Brown University to Holy Cross College. And then I went out to OU, Ohio University. Okay. And that's actually where my daughter Jennifer, as you call her, Mrs. Thompson.
Yep.
When you said that, Mrs. Thompson, I said, who's Mrs. Thompson? Oh, you mean Jennifer, right? So that's where she grew up, right over there. She started in Rhode Island, and then she grew up in Athens, Ohio. And she was going to Ohio University, and then she transferred to the University of Cincinnati and finished her degree there. Right. That's another one of the schools I coached at. I went to OU, I went to Colorado, and I coached out there. And then I got a job. And all the while between Brown and the time I got in football, in the National Football League, okay, I was helping a buddy of mine, Jim McNally. I met this guy named Jim McNally. He was the line coach at Boston College. Yeah. Right. So this is not a long story, but it's kind of a neat story. Right. And I didn't know how to he was given a Boston College spring clinic. So I went to the clinic. Yeah. And my head coach played for Boston College. Okay. And so I go to the clinic and I meet Jim McNally. And after we got done giving his presentation, I said, hey, can you help me out? I'm trying to get these plays that we have, the blocking rules. I said, I don't know how to do that. And he said, yeah, I can do that, but I can't do it today. Come back next Friday. So next Friday, I took a day out of work, went to Boston College, spent the whole day with Jimmy, and we put all the plays that I had and protections to all these blocking rules way back then. And so in the meantime, I had worked my way up at Brown University. I went to see Jimmy. I think I was coaching either junior high school football. But then when I got into Brown University, right, Jimmy went from Boston College to Wake Forest to the Cincinnati Bengals back in 1980. And I was at Brown University at the time. And so I get a phone call from Jim and he says, what are you doing? I said, I'm in my office looking at some film. Like, he says, I just got the playbook from Forrest Gregg. Forrest Gregg played for Vince Lombardi at the Green Bay Packers. He was the head coach of the Bengals at the time. He said, you gotta listen to these plays. I just got these plays back. 39 UL smash, 48 MUO, 46 HB, 37 HA, all the plays that I had brought to him back when I was a junior high school football coach. Right. He said, he got them from Forrest Gregg. Well, Forrest played for the Green Bay Packers. My high school football coach played for George Halas at the Chicago Bears. So it must have been the offense that was going around the NFL at the time. Yeah. And my high school football coach was a guy named Frank Masnicki. He was on the 1946 World Championship Chicago Bear team. So he played a number of years for the Chicago Bears. Yeah. And then when he got out, for football, he came to West Warwick High School and started to coach, and he put that offense in, the same offense that I played in. Yeah. Okay, when I was being coached by him in high school. Okay, the same offense I was trying to coach. So he says, you need to come to Cincinnati. So I get on an airplane and I fly out to the Cincinnati Bengals and I meet with Jimmy for 3 days. He says, you need to tell me everything you know about this offense. I said, okay. So I told him everything that I knew, how it was taught to me by a guy who played it, right?
Yeah.
Right. He says, okay. He says, it's the third day. I'm getting ready to get back on a plane and come back to Rhode Island. He says, wait here. And so he doesn't come back to the office like about an hour. I'm looking at my watch. I'm going to miss this flight. He comes back and he says, look, I just talked to Paul Brown, okay, who owned the, Paul Brown was a great football coach for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
That's who the Browns are named after. He said, I just talked to Paul Brown and I just talked to Forrest Gregg, Coach Gregg, and you can come to mini camp and you can come to the training camps. I said, oh my God. So for 8 years, okay, I went to all the mini camps and I went to all the training camps and all the preseason games. Okay, and then eventually I made a pest out of myself enough that they hired me full time. Okay. Then I went from the Bengals to the Jets, to Tampa Bay, back to the Bengals, the Chicago Bears, Arizona Cardinals, Denver Broncos, Oakland Raiders, Cleveland Browns. All right. And then I went up to Canada and coached in 3 Grey Cups in Canada. Okay. So that's how it all began, because my high school football coach
Taught you that.
played for the Chicago Bears, okay, that ran the same offense that they were trying to run at the Cincinnati Bengals with Forrest Gregg.
That's crazy.
That's just pure luck.
That's so lucky. Yeah. That's awesome for you though.
That doesn't happen anymore. Years ago, you had to be a really good football coach just to get the interview in pro football. You had to be a really good football coach.
Yeah.
Just to interview, and then they would interview 4 or 5 guys, and then they would pick the guy that best fit what they needed. Okay. And they don't do that anymore. If you got a buddy, right, they just hire their buddies. That's why you see in the NFL, like last year was 9 jobs open.
Yeah.
Okay. Next year it'll be 7 or 8. Because if they hire their buddies and their buddies get them fired.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Was there ever a time where you were on a team and you were just surprised when you got released?
Surprised that we got released? Not really. You if you're winning, okay, good chance you're going to stay.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're losing, okay, right, you're going to get fired. Yeah. It's just the way it is. Okay. You can't be insecure and be a professional football, any coach. Okay. You can't do that. Okay. Right. So, it's not like we went 14-2 and got fired. That never happened. When we got fired, we probably deserved to get fired because we didn't win enough games.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the teams that I stayed on that won a lot of football games. Okay. You got another contract.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how it worked. I never was on a team where I was, well, what are they firing us for? Okay. Go. Well, why are they firing me? That didn't. So
how did you go about finding a new team then?
Finding a new team?
Yeah.
They find you.
They just come to you, hire you.
And what happens, you have problems getting jobs when you're younger because you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Okay. And then as you get older, you know too much, so they don't hire you.
Yeah.
But what happens is you make a lot of friends. There's only 450 professional football coaches.
Yeah.
And there's only 32 when I was in the NFL. There's only 32 guys that did what I did in the whole world.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, you make buddies from other teams or guys on your team. Some of the coordinators may get head coaching jobs at another team. So now you get a chance to go there. Right. So the more camaraderie there is, the better chances you have of getting a job.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier you coached the NFL and the CFL.
Yes.
What would you say is the main difference between, like the level of play between the two leagues?
The CFL is made up mostly of guys that were cut from NFL teams. Yeah. And then there's a ratio. You need to have so many Canadian players and you need to have so many not in American players or national players. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so usually the American kids are taking the spots. Okay,
Mhm.
like quarterback. You don't see many Canadian kids playing quarterback. Okay, the wide receivers. Okay,
Mhm.
the offensive line usually is the tackle. You get American tackles. Okay, the three guys inside are Canadian guys. Okay, you may have a Canadian running back, or maybe the slot guy is a Canadian guy. Okay, maybe some of the defensive linemen, right? Usually the signal caller, play caller, okay, on defense, okay, is usually American. The safety is usually okay. So you gotta have so many Canadians on the field at one time, right? And then the rest are Americans. So
Yeah.
they don't have the polish, I should say, that the NFL guys have.
Mhm.
Remember, the NFL guys are, you know, they're the best out of the best. That's how they get there.
Mhm.
Okay, you got to be pretty good to get to that level. You got to remember that less than 2% of the draft eligible players in the United States get drafted, and less than 1% actually make the team.
Yeah.
That's the percentages, and there's millions of guys that play. I think the last count, I think last number I heard, and I'm not 100% positive on this, 19 million people play football in the States,
Mhm.
from Pop Warner to junior high school, college, Division 1, 2, 3, all the NAIA schools is like 19. There's some astronomical number of guys that play football.
Yeah.
Right. And then when they get to be seniors in college or juniors now, okay, they can come out, they can declare themselves eligible. Out of all those players, only 2% get drafted.
Mhm. Very
So you
sad.
bet something else to do.
Yep.
If you don't make NFL, you got a better chance of being shot by a terrorist than making an NFL team.
Yeah. That
That's
is
why
true.
education becomes very important in the thing. And I don't tell kids don't try, go. You get a chance to go, you go.
Yeah.
Okay, because if you make it, okay, the the money that's involved is astronomical. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking millions and millions, and some of them are. I had a center at the Chicago Bears that made $78 million playing center.
Yeah.
Not counting his, not counting his advertisement and the other stuff, supplemental money.
Yeah.
And we probably over 100 million at playing. And he's a center, right? So if you can get it, go for
Yeah.
it. Okay, but you better have some type of backup plan.
Uh-huh.
Not really I shouldn't say backup. I hate that. You better have some type of plan that's going to get you to go forward.
Yeah. If football doesn't
Okay.
work. So you just mentioned that center that got over $78 million playing center. Who would you say are like the top players that you've coached? And also, who do you think would be the most underrated players that you've coached?
I think that Anthony Munoz is one of the greatest players I coached at them, right? And he played left tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he's in the Pro Football NFL Hall of Fame. Okay, up in Canton, Ohio. And Joe Thomas, who I just got done coaching at Cleveland
Yeah.
Browns, my last.
That's one of my favorite players.
I think he's an elite player. Okay, and he'll be voted into the Hall when he's eligible. I think it's this year. Okay, he becomes eligible this year, his 5th year out. Okay, I think those are in that center that I had at the Bears. I think he someday is going to have that chance. Now Joe was really a wonderful. He's probably a better person when he was a player. That's what a great guy he is.
Yeah.
And he played in 1,353 consecutive snaps.
Mhm.
Nobody will ever do that again.
Yeah. I was at the game where he got hurt, the Browns game. I think it was against
Oh,
the
yeah,
Titans. Yeah, I was there. I remember Wylie was there too with me.
I was there too.
Yeah, you're down there coaching.
Yeah, he hurt his elbow.
Yeah.
It wasn't even, it's kind of like a freak thing. It really was.
Yeah, I know.
And so I felt really uh, honored to be able to coach him.
Mm.
It's a privilege to coach at that level and coach guys like Joe and
Yeah.
Anthony and Owen Krutz is another one. Some of the underrated guys who were really good players. I had a left tackle, Paul Gruber, who went to the University of Wisconsin and played at Tampa Bay for me. He was a really good football player, right? But he never got the accolades. He never got the notoriety that some of the other guys that I had.
Yeah.
A right guard at the Chicago Bears uh, named Chris Valerio. Chris Valerio went to the Indiana University of Pennsylvania, a Division II school.
Mhm.
Okay, and he came out. Okay, and we got him at the Bears. Okay, and he plays 12 or 14 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
In the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. He didn't go to Ohio State. He didn't
Yeah.
go to Texas. You know what I mean? He went to, but he figured out how to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
He figured out how to do it.
Yeah. That's good.
And so these guys, they're really quite remarkable. Okay, because players at the level that I coach at, and I really believe any level, players don't care how much you know.
Yeah.
Right? So don't try to impress them with your knowledge. Okay. Players care how much you care. And after they feel that you really truly care about them as people first, and it's not a big facade that you're putting on, right? Then they really buy in. Okay. Then they want to know how you're going to make them better. And then once they buy in and know that you really care about them as people, okay, then how are you going to make them better as a coach so that they can stay in the NFL longer
Yeah.
and get those big contracts longer?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. And then as soon as they find out that, hey, I fooled them for 36 years. They buy into what you're doing. Okay. And once that happens, they'll do anything for you.
Mhm.
They really will do anything for you. So how do you do that? How do you get them, you know, in my meeting room, the 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 atmosphere or chemistry that I create in my meeting room is more important than any of the X's and O's that I'm going to draw on the board.
Yeah.
That's the key deal. The chemistry that's created in that room is more important than if we're going to run an inside zone play or we're running an outside zone play or we're going to run 60 protection. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where it all starts. And in my meeting room, when they first walk in, I got what they call a family board. And I want them to bring me the person or something that is really important in their life, a picture. Okay, I don't care if it's a dog, a cat, it could be a church mouse, doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah. And I put that picture up on the board, on the family board. And when they walk through the door, that's the first thing that they see is that board, because ultimately that's who they're playing for.
Yeah.
They're not playing all the Cleveland Browns, the Oakland Raiders, the Denver Broncos, the Cincinnati. All the teams are doing is giving you the opportunity to play for those people. Yeah. Okay. I want them to see that every day when they walk in. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then on the opposite wall, okay, like you walk in the door on the right, and then on the left-hand side, on that wall, I got a board that says in the beginning. In the beginning would be when you first started to play football, Pop Warner pitches, junior high school pitches, where you played because you have a love and a passion for play the game, not because they were going to pay you $2.50 a year. Yeah. Okay, you had a love and a passion to play. I want those pitches up there because, guys, that's where you started. Yeah. Okay, and then somebody said, hey, you're good enough to get drafted. Or somebody else said, hey, you're good enough to get a college scholarship. Okay. And then somebody said, hey, you're good enough to get drafted. And then some kids, right, that weren't drafted or didn't get a scholarship and walked on or signed a free agent contract, okay, and made the team, that's even more impressive,
Yeah, for sure.
okay? Because the passion and love they have for the game, shows up. And then now they get drafted or they sign a free agent contract and they get one of the seats in my meeting room. I don't care how I
Yeah.
don't, I really, it doesn't matter. They got a seat. It's not my job for them to keep that seat. That's not my job. It's their job to keep the seat. So whatever they need to do to keep the seat, they better do it.
Yeah.
If it's to come early, look at more film, stay later, study more, right? Right. Go out to practice early, stay after practice and work. Okay, whatever they need to do, okay, to keep the seat, that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
And my meeting room was not set up as a classroom.
Mhm.
My meeting room is set up conference style. It's got a conference table. Why? Right? Because I want them to see each other. Like if you're sitting in the front seat in a classroom style, right, and the kid in the back seat makes a mistake on the video, okay, those guys don't turn around and look at them, right? They just stay face forward, okay? You can't do that in my meeting rooms because they can all see each other. All right, so when I'm pointing out a mistake or a missed assignment or something, a technique they did wrong, they can all see it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm looking. Your peer group influence. Okay. And you got to get them to communicate. One of the biggest things I find out, your communication barriers in the classroom. They got to learn how to communicate with one another. Communication is 85% sport or 80% of this.
Yeah.
What a lot of coaches do is they chase the 20%. They chase the technical side of the game where 80% of the game is communication.
Yeah.
You guys communicate on a soccer field, right? One guy
Yeah.
to the next guy all the time. Communication is more important than any plays you may have.
Yeah, for sure.
That has to take place all the time, every game, right? It has to take place in my sport, from the player to each other, from the coach to the player to the coach, from the guys upstairs in the booth down to the sideline, from the sideline to the huddle. Okay, there's a tremendous amount of communication going on, right? Between plays, it truly is. It's amazing the amount of stuff that they have to do between plays.
Yeah.
And then I have another wall in my meeting room. Okay, and it was like in the Cleveland Browns. I give you, for instance, in the Cleveland Browns, they got 5 offensive linemen that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Okay, 5 of them. So I got big pictures, guys, up on the wall. Right, they got 20 guys. Okay, that have made all pro, offensive linemen that have made all pro, 20 different guys. Those pictures go up, but they're half the size as the Hall of Fame guys. So they're all up on the wall. Okay. And then in between them, I got all my sayings that I like to use all the time. Like learn before you compete. Learn before you compete. Right? Teach them, don't tell them. Okay. The problem with knowing everything is you can't learn anything new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I have all these, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. So I got all these sayings that are all made up in nice signs and they're all up on the walls. Okay. And so anytime somebody starts spraying from a herd, okay, and he's got all the answers, I just point to the sign on the wall. Right?
Yeah.
So that camaraderie that's created in that room, they have a cake on their birthday with their number on it. Okay. I always get their anniversaries because they're not going to remember to send flowers to their wives. So I make sure I get flowers sent to their wives.
Yeah.
I have the rooms is always decorated, like for Halloween. The rookies decorate a room up, okay, and then they all buy candy. All right, and then the other positions come in and they get the candy, and people in the building come down and come through the room. Right, the room is it's got gorillas all over the place because gorillas make the best offensive linemen. Yeah. It's got palm trees and jungle things, and I mean, it's got a refrigerator, it's got a microwave oven. It's a place where I want the players to come,
Uh-huh.
right? Because they want to be there. They can come, they can eat in my room. It doesn't matter to me. Take the food from the cafeteria, bring it in. You can eat, it's okay. All right. It's all set up, right? And then learning, I have a cutout of the Super Bowl trophy. I want them to see that every day. Because ultimately that's where you want to be. You want to get to that game.
Yeah.
So there's a really a madness to the room setup. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's fun to do. They
Yeah.
decorate. They decorate for Thanksgiving. They
Uh-huh.
decorate for Christmas. Now, do they buy in, Austin? I'll give you an example that happened to me at Cleveland.
Mhm.
The second to the last game of the season in practice, I dislocated my right ankle. I broke my right leg,
Yeah.
and I tore all the tendons off my left knee.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't have any tendons on my left knee. They tore them all off the bone. Okay. Right. So they get me into the hospital. Okay. And they reset the ankle and they fix the right leg and they do an operation and they pin it and plate it and band it and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Right. The next morning, right, they find out I don't have any tendons because I couldn't stand up on my left knee. Okay. They take me down, get me an MRI, bring me back into the operating room, and they operate on my left knee. Right now, I'm in a hospital, non-weight bearing for 8 weeks. Then I spent another 100+ days in a 122 days total in the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay. So the day after I got hurt was supposed to be, we have what we call a dirty Santa. It's like a Kris Kringle. It's everybody, we have an amount of money that everybody has to buy a gift for this amount of money that we agree on. Okay.
Yeah.
Usually it's around 1,000, somewhere in that area. Okay. And you wrap up the gift and you put it under the Christmas tree because they go out and they get the Christmas tree, and they decorate it, put it in their home. They decorate the whole room with the reindeers and all that's the Santa Claus is in there.
Yeah.
Right. So they got what they call, and they put your name that goes by seniority. So they put everybody's name on the board by seniority. I'm always the last one to get the most seniority, usually wherever I go. And so the first guy can take one of the presents and he unwraps it. Okay, then the second guy goes up and gets any present he wants. He unwraps it. He can take the first guy's present.
Yeah.
And so they go through until I get the last pick of the whole deal.
Yeah.
Well, we were supposed to have that the day after I got hurt. And what they did is they postponed it. And the next Friday, they brought everything into the hospital. They brought the Christmas tree. They brought all the presents. They decorated. They gave them a room in the hospital. They decorated the room in the hospital. So I could still be involved in the Kris Kringle. They brought it to the hospital.
Yeah.
That's the chemistry that was created in the beginning with me and those guys.
Yeah.
The love I have for them and the love that they have for me.
Goes both ways.
And then they end up bringing me the game ball.
Nice.
All right. So, and they beat them. I mean, where you get a game ball, you got to win.
Yeah, you have to win.
You guys get soccer game balls? Does that happen?
Something like that. Yeah.
I know you guys. I know
We have a
Wylie
ball that we've signed, from Ravenwood, though.
I know Wylie brings in that little cement slab. You guys, you break the sledgehammer. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I never seen that. Well, that's a good idea.
It's really fun, actually.
Yeah, I got videos of you guys doing it in locker room and stuff.
Yeah. Well, all right, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for coming out and taking your time to do this.
You can stay as long as you want. There's about me. I got nothing to do.
Yeah, I would, but there's a time limit on this, and it's been almost an hour. So
it's been an hour. I've been talking that long. My God,
yeah, we have less than a minute left. So
anyway, like again, I was really impressed. What you guys did was really impressive to me.
Thank you.
Right. Now, what you got to remember, that doesn't count. Next year, you can say, "Oh, we'll just build on it from last year." No, you got to start from the beginning and build it again.
Yeah.
You can't rely on what you did last year. That's why Belichick's been so successful.